Fields of Mistria gives you a surprising number of ways to earn tesserae. And that's one of the things I love most about it. But after spending more than 200 hours with the game, I realized some methods simply gave me a lot more value for the time I was putting in. So if you're hoping to upgrade sooner, grow your farm without feeling constantly broke, and make the most of each in-game day, these are the moneymakers I wish I'd known much earlier. To make things easier to follow, I'll be covering them from the early game to mid-game and then late game. Just a heads up, there are a few minor spoilers for features you'll unlock along the way. And one more thing, this isn't a min-max guide. One of my favorite things about Fields of Mistria is that it gives you the freedom to play at your own pace. There's no right or wrong way to make money. These are simply the methods that gave me the biggest return for the time I invested, and hopefully they'll help you find the ones that fit your own playstyle too. For me, the early game is that stage where you're still finding your rhythm, where you don't have much money yet, and most of the bigger features are still locked away. Really, your biggest resource isn't your farm, it's your time. Naturally, farming is where most of us start, but crops spend a lot of that time just growing. And while you're waiting, you don't want the rest of the day to go to waste. So instead of standing around waiting for harvest, I'd focus on 3 things: requests, museum donations, and fishing. Requests might seem like the obvious answer, and they're worth doing for more than just the tesserae. They also raise your town rank, which unlock more rewards, more funds, and makes it much easier to afford things like seeds, your fishing rod, or that much needed backpack upgrade. At the same time, don't forget about the museum. Early on, you'll be finding all sorts of forageables, bugs, fish, and artifacts. And it can be tempting to sell everything for quick money, but I usually donate the first one instead. Most of those early forageables don't sell for very much anyway, and the museum rewards are often worth far more in the long run. Fishing ended up becoming my favorite way to fill the gaps between harvests. Mostly because later on I almost forget to fish. So doing it early meant I was earning money while also getting my fishing level up before my other skills started pulling ahead. Once you've bought the fishing rod for 500 tesserae, you're not just catching fish. You can also reel in treasure chests with coins, materials, and other items that are surprisingly valuable that early in the game. And here's a little trick that helped me squeeze a bit more out of each day. Even if a tool normally costs several stamina to use, you can still use it with just 1 stamina remaining. So I'd let my stamina run all the way down, eat a berry to recover 1 point, cast my line, then repeat. It doesn't sound like much, but those extra casts really add up. And once you reach fishing level 15, I'd also grab Fishing Lucky Haul, since it gives you a chance to catch double fish. More fish means more money. Another moneymaker is cooking. It gives a small profit compared to selling a crop as is, and a lot of the early recipes only need a single ingredient, so they're incredibly easy to turn into profit. In fact, selling 1 of each crop is enough to unlock its basic recipe. Some of my favorites are baked potato in spring and grilled corn during summer. Cooking also snowballs really nicely, and once you unlock Waste Not Want Not, you have a chance to get 1 of your ingredients back after cooking. Those free ingredients become extra dishes, and those dishes mean more money, more cooking experience, and more chances to trigger the skill again. Before long, your cooking level climbs pretty fast, unlocking even more useful perks like faster cooking times or dinner for 2, which can occasionally give you an extra dish for free. Then there's one thing I completely overlooked on my first playthrough though, and that was making money through mining. I mostly went into the mines to gather ore and upgrade my tools. But if you're spending a lot of time underground anyway, don't ignore armor crafting. Once the mines open, you can craft and sell armor for a pretty decent profit. It's especially worthwhile if you're the kind of player who likes clearing every floor, collecting biomaterials, and taking your time exploring. Now, once you reach what I'd consider the mid-game, your priorities start to change a bit. You're no longer spending every last tesserae just to get through the next season. By this point, you usually have enough saved up to invest, whether that's buying more seeds, expanding into animals, or you've started reaching around level 30 in some of your skill trees. This is where farming really starts to snowball. Instead of relying mostly on single harvest crops, you can afford to plant a much larger field of regrowing crops. They cost more upfront, sure, but with how long they keep producing, I usually make my money back after only a harvest or two. And then the seed maker changes everything. Once you've repaired the general store, you can buy one for 2,000 tesserae. Every crop you place inside has a chance to become 1, 2, or even 3 seeds of that same crop. At first, I thought of it as a way to save money on buying seeds, but it's actually better than that. For regrowing crops, turning them into seeds can be more profitable than selling the crop itself. And the farming skill tree starts rewarding you in some fun ways too. At level 30, living off the land gives you a chance to harvest a cooked meal alongside your crops. And sometimes it isn't just a simple recipe either, it can be some surprisingly valuable dishes. Then there's prize winning, which occasionally drops extra coins whenever you harvest. They're small bonuses on their own, but over an entire season, they add up without asking you to do anything differently. Ranching has a nice little bonus too. If you're hand-feeding your animals, or giving them crops and cooked dishes, you'll earn shiny beads. Collect 100 of them, trade them at the chicken statue, and you'll have a chance to receive golden items that can sell for several thousand tesserae. This definitely gets overlooked because the rewards don't come immediately, but if you're already taking care of your animals every day, those beads build up in the background. That said, you don't necessarily need to replace the moneymakers from the early game. You're layering new ones on top, and before long, your income isn't coming from one big source. It's coming from lots of smaller systems all working together. Now we get into what I'd consider the late game. Although honestly, depending on how you like to play, you might reach this stage a little earlier or later than I did. For me, this is when I had the greenhouse unlocked and started picking up those higher level skill perks that completely changed how I thought about making money. One perk that really surprised me was ornamental at farming level 45. Whenever you harvest a crop, there's a chance you'll receive its ornamental recipe. At first, I didn't think much of it, but ornamental crafting can actually be even more profitable. It does ask for a little more patience since crafting takes time, even if you've unlocked hammer timing to speed things up. But once you pair it with a quality crafting perk from wood crafting, which increases crafted item sell prices by 10%, the numbers start looking much better. Take this faux cabbage for example. If you simply sell the cabbage, that's one option, but turning it into its ornamental version gives you a higher return. And with quality crafting, you're earning about 149 extra tesserae per crafted item compared to selling the cabbage on its own. That said, I still think the seed maker is the stronger moneymaker overall because of the accessibility and chance to earn more. But I wouldn't ignore ornamental crafting. It's a nice way to earn extra profit while leveling your wood crafting skill, which unlocks even more useful perks down the road. The greenhouse is another upgrade that changes everything, because instead of racing against the seasons, you can keep growing your favorite regrowing crops without worrying about them disappearing when the calendar changes. Add water sprites to handle the watering, and your farm starts feeling surprisingly hands-off. You spend less time maintaining crops and more time doing whatever you actually enjoy. If you're wondering when this becomes available, you'll need to upgrade the carpenter's shop. And that opens after reaching town rank 70 and completing the Saturday Market vendor's questline. Once it's unlocked, you can buy out-of-season seeds from Baylor's wagon. Or if you've already been using your seed maker, you can simply make the seeds yourself and keep the cycle going. By this point, that's really what the late game feels like. You've built enough systems that they all start feeding into each other, and earning tesserae becomes something that happens naturally while you focus on the parts of Fields of Mistria you enjoy the most. If this guide is helping you prepare or saving you from missing something important, consider subscribing. I make cozy, low-stress guides like this so you can experience everything without feeling overwhelmed. My biggest takeaway after spending so much time with Fields of Mistria is that there isn't just one correct way to make money. Instead, the game does a really nice job of rewarding whatever you naturally enjoy doing. For me, that's farming. So I ended up leaning into regrowing crops, seed makers, ornamental crafts, and cooking, because those systems naturally fed into each other. But maybe your favorite place is the barn instead. If you're spending most of your days raising animals, products like butter, mayonnaise, and golden products can become some of your biggest moneymakers because you're already collecting those ingredients anyway. Or maybe you're happiest down in the mines. In that case, crafting weapons and armor makes a lot of sense since you're already gathering the materials while exploring. At the end of the day, the most profitable strategy is usually the one that fits the way you already like to play. Once you start building around that, the tesserae tend to follow. When I came back to Fields of Mistria, I kept running into little features and quality of life updates that somehow slipped right past me. Some of them would have saved me a lot of time if I'd known about them sooner. So, if you're returning for the full release, or you're just curious about what changed since early access, click on the next video. I'll walk you through all the easy-to-miss updates so you can jump in feeling a little more prepared.